Here we are, a completely separate day. Wow, I can't believe it's been 1 week since the last time we recorded a podcast.
That's crazy.
Welcome to Abs, anything but sports.
Anything but sports.
I'm Sawyer.
And I'm John.
And today we have Abbie Rapp. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So, is your full name Abilyn?
No, it's literally just Abbie. Yeah.
Really?
Not even Abigail. Yeah. If I had $1 for every time somebody's asked me, is your name Abigail? I'd have a lot of dollars. But no, it's just Abbie.
Wow, that's so interesting. Did your parents offer any explanation?
No, they just liked that name, I guess.
Wow.
I was going to be Cassidy.
My sister's name is Cassidy.
I know. It's so funny. Cassidy does not suit me.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
My mom considered naming me Tucker.
Oh.
But then that went away very quickly when she thought of any nickname that anyone would give me in school.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. She was looking out for you.
Yeah, she was.
That's good.
She truly was.
Except my mom wasn't looking out for me because in school people used to call me Flabby Abbie or Crabby Abbie if I was really upset one day.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
But also clever.
Yeah.
The worst kind of insult.
Yeah.
So, Abbie. Not Abigail.
No.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm from Tennessee. I like to say I'm from Nashville, but if you're actually from Tennessee, then I'll say I'm from Murfreesboro, which is just like a suburb of Nashville.
How was growing up? How was your childhood? Did you like it?
Yeah, it was like pretty chill. My parents got divorced when I was really young, but then my mom also remarried when I was really young. So my stepdad has been around for a long time, and he's great. I mean, our childhood was pretty easy, I guess I would say. And then I moved to Georgia after I graduated college, and now I'm here.
Why'd you move to Georgia?
That guy over there. I moved to Georgia because of Austin. He was here. We met on Tumblr when we were in college.
On Tumblr?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. It's an old sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met on Tumblr and we were long distance for a few years. And then I moved down here when I graduated because I was like, I do not want to be in Murfreesboro anymore. So, yeah.
All right, I have a question for you. When I first brought up the concept of this podcast and I was talking to Austin about it, I don't think it was directly to me, but either like to Austin and then Austin to me, I somehow got word that you were like immediately dismissive of like, I'm not a creative person.
Oh, yeah.
I don't need to be on this podcast.
Yeah,
so,
no, I'm not.
My question is, what is your definition of creativity? If you are not creative, then what is creativity?
I'll start by saying I think I did have a more creative brain at one point. Like, I think as a child I was pretty creative. Like, I remember like drawing and coloring a lot all through childhood. And then I think, I don't know, you get to school and you get to art class, and like even if you're in like 5th grade, there are those kids who are just like immediately so talented at whatever they do, and I'm like, well, I'm not. So then the creativity is just kind of beaten out of you, I guess, through school. And yeah, so I kind of just lost that creative part of my brain. Like, I can't just like sit down and make something, or like I can't, I don't know, think something out. I don't know. Creativity is weird, and I just feel like I don't really have access to that part of my brain anymore. I feel like it's a muscle that you have to like use it or you lose it, and I just kind of lost it, I guess.
So would you say that your definition of creativity is being able to make something?
Yeah, I think so.
You don't feel like you make anything?
I mean, not really. I don't know.
Do you think you're a creative person?
Initially I said no. We've talked about this before in the podcast, and then you said that's wrong. So I think I am now.
Great, well, I'm glad it worked.
Yeah.
Well, my theory is that everyone is a creative person, and creativity can be very flashy and outward and showy, and I think those people get more of the creative attention.
Yeah.
But I think that sometimes the most clever and creative people are the ones who do it like off to the side, or where it's difficult to see or hear them. So, I mean, I'm still getting to know you, but my guess would be that you're probably actually very creative.
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Well, so what is your relation to the media industry? How are you involved?
Yeah, I'm not. I feel like I'm not really. I started working at the rental house a couple of years ago, and it's not like I was specifically like looking for that kind of job. I was in a really, really awful job before then, and I just wanted anything else. It was really difficult to find, and then COVID happened, and it got even more difficult to find a new job. And so this position just like randomly opened up. I heard about it through Passion, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll apply. Like, I don't know anything about cameras or how to use them. I literally know nothing about anything. It was pretty stressful actually, because I was like, oh my god, I don't know anything. But all that stuff is learnable. So I ended up getting the job, and I love it. It's great. But that's as far as my involvement in the media industry goes.
Do you take pictures?
I do.
Oh, well,
Just film.
Seems to be a little
I
bit
just
further.
shoot film. Yeah, I guess so. It's just for fun. It's purely for fun.
Well, what makes it enjoyable for you?
I think specifically for film, I love how tangible it is. Like, you have to go out and like buy a roll of film and like load it into the camera and make sure it's correct. And like, all of my cameras are automatic. I don't want to have to do anything, and I don't want to risk ruining the film, so it's just all automatic. And I don't know, I just love like getting them developed and like seeing them, and getting them printed is really cool. I love how like tangible it is, and it just looks pretty.
How'd you get started?
Austin. Yeah.
You just put a camera in your hand and said, go
I
for
think
it?
so. When we were long
Just do it.
distance, we would send boxes of crap back and forth to each other. Like, here's one of my t-shirts, and like a random picture. And I think in one of the boxes he included a film camera and like a couple rolls of film. And I was like, this is cool.
Wow.
Yeah. But like, my parents also grew up like shooting film because it was the 90s, but then they just quickly gave that up because of digital cameras. So I was around it beforehand. I just guess I didn't register it. But yeah, it's my first film camera.
So, I think you might be the person who is the most distanced from media in terms of like passion or caring about it in any capacity. So, what are your like life and career goals? Like, what are you striving toward?
I don't know. I feel like when I first graduated college, got out of school, I think I was really self-conscious for a long time, because like a lot of people I knew were like nurses, or they were going to work in law firms, or like, you know, they were paramedics, or, you know, whatever it was. I think I was just like very self-conscious of not having like this cool, amazing, I don't know, flashy job that you were like proud to say, oh, I do this thing, I'm a teacher, or whatever it was. And I think I struggled with that for a long time, and I think that ended up putting me in the crappy job that I ended up in for a long time as a paralegal at a law firm. It was horribly stressful. So now that I've worked through that, and I'm not like, I've figured out that what I do as a job isn't like necessarily me. Like, it's where I go during the day, and it's fine. It pays my bills. Like, it doesn't make me unhappy, and I'm significantly happier from where I used to be a couple years ago. So I think now it's just like, I want, you know, my bills to be paid for, and I just want to like have the time to do the things that I still want to do. And like, if that means taking a pay cut, but I am happier in general, that's fine with me. So yeah, I think just being generally happy is kind of like my career goal. Having the time to do the things that I want to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like it's anything related to career.
Yeah. No, it's
So
not.
you just use career as a tool to fund your passions.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
So what are your passions?
I feel like they change a lot. Like right now, I guess you could say my passion is like, I'm really focused on running. So that, I also read a lot. Like, anytime I have any free time, I'm probably reading. I read 50 books last year, which is like that was huge for me. I've never read that much in my life. So now I'm like, oh, I want to do that again. So now I'm like reading a lot. So yeah, that's kind of my passions right now.
You're definitely the first person we talked to that puts career very far down on the priority list. So has that always been that way for you? Did you ever prioritize career anymore? What changed? Were you, as a child or like growing up, were you pressured to have a really nice career and with a lot of emphasis on that? What is your relationship to the level of priority of career?
I don't think my parents ever put a huge like emphasis on like you have to get a good, buttoned up office job and do this, and this. I think it was just like a general, they want me to be taken care of and they don't want me to make my life harder than it has to be, like just kind of, just like be smart and whatever. And I think a few years ago, I did put a lot of emphasis on career. Like, I worked so hard. I came in early. I stayed late. Like, I took on more work. I was always, wanting to do more. I wanted to solve all these problems. I wanted to, like, do my job and also do other people's jobs and also make sure my attorney is taken care of and, like, also be a great friend. And, like, I was depressed and miserable and I cried every single day. I was horribly stressed. I would fall asleep thinking about work. Like, it was awful. And I just realized that's not the life that I want.
When? How? What changed? Can you pinpoint it?
I think it was like probably like a year or two into that job, I realized just how toxic it is and like how unhappy it made me. And like, yeah, I was making a little bit more money, but like, is it worth it? No. But like, I'm already so deep in, and I've already like, I guess, like shoehorned myself or like pigeonholed myself. Like, now that I'm doing all this stuff, I have to keep doing it or else it's going to look bad or I'm going to get fired. I wasn't ever going to get fired. They could not afford to lose me. But I think that's what it was. And then I started looking for jobs and I just could not find anything. And I was like, well, guess I'm stuck. So, yeah. And then I was like, well, I can't stop now. Like, I have too much pride in that. Like, I'm not just going to let all this stuff fall to pieces. And yeah, it changed a couple years ago. Now I'm like, I just want, to not be unhappy and have time to do things and not be stressed and constantly thinking about work. And also, like, if I make a mistake now, it's like, oh, they got the wrong battery. Can you come back in and get the correct battery? Or it's like, oh God, I'm so sorry this doesn't work. Can you come swap it for something better? Instead of like, oh God, I messed up. My attorney could get disbarred. Or, oh God, I might ruin this person's life forever if I don't pay what's owed to Medicare for this person. Yeah. So
Stakes are lower.
Much lower, significantly.
So if you were having coffee with someone who is younger than you and they're like very intensely obsessed with their career and maybe they do have a little bit of passion in it, let's say they enjoy it to some extent, what advice would you give them on life, work life, career, passion balance?
I would probably say, like, it's just a job. Like, they could cut you loose tomorrow and they probably wouldn't feel bad about it, and you would find another job and you'll be okay. Also, like, if you're able to find something else and go somewhere else, like, do it. Like try out new things until you find something that you actually want to do, especially if you're like just out of college or you're still in your 20s. And I'm saying that as someone who's still in their 20s. Like, just try out something new. Like, you have literally your entire life to work. Like, just because you started somewhere doesn't mean you have to stay there for the next 50 years. Like, my grandma literally worked at the same company for like 55 years. And I'm like, that's great. But you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Try something new if you want. Life is short.
Do you prefer someone listen to you or give advice to you?
I don't know. I feel like in general, it's probably just like I want you to just listen. I've probably already worked out what I need to do, or I'm eventually going to figure out what I need to do. So I feel like in general, it's like, I just want you to listen and like tell me that sucks. Yeah.
I'm the exact
What about you?
opposite.
You prefer advice?
Yeah. I would much rather things be solved as opposed to just like, let me just tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with either side, but I think it does. It's very telling to the type of person, like when you can answer that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, I prefer advice too. When I did my therapy session, it drove me crazy. I would just ask her. I'd be like, just
what do I
tell
do?
me
Yeah.
what to do.
Yeah.
She'd be like, well, you know, and she'd go into something that would make me figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, that's what I need.
I feel like I'm one of those people where it's like, as I'm telling you what's going on, I'm figuring it out. Like,
Right.
I saw this thing on Reddit the other day, and I think it was related to like programming, which I don't know why I saw it, because that's, I don't know, it's Reddit.
programming.
Yeah. And it was called like the rubber duck technique or something. It's where they would get a rubber duck and set it on their desk, and if they have a problem, they would start to explain to the rubber duck, like out loud or in their head or whatever, what's going on. And as you're doing that, you're like realizing, oh, this is the issue and this is how I fix it. And I feel like I'm kind of, I don't know, I have that same brain. It's like, as I'm talking to you, I'm probably figuring it out.
So you just see everyone around you as a bunch of rubber ducks.
Yeah. Your head right now is just yellow. Yeah.
So this question kind of formed because, you know, a lot of people say, like, you know, where do you want to be in 3 years, or what do you want to be doing in 3 years? And so we've kind of changed it ourselves to not those kind of like extraneous pieces, but like, what kind of person do you want to be in 3 years? How do you want to grow as an individual?
I think, and I feel like this is like a cop-out answer, but I feel like who I want to be in 3 years is just more myself. I feel like ever since I graduated college, like every year, I've slowly become more myself. Like, I figured out what I like, what I don't like, you know, the kind of person that I want to be, like how I want to dress, what kind of music I like. I feel like I'm slowly figuring that out. So hopefully in 3 years, I'll be more myself, and I can look back and be like, oh yeah, she was almost there, but now I'm more myself.
Do you think you will ever be yourself?
Yes.
At what point?
I don't know.
10 years? 15?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I look at my mom, and I'm like, it's so weird, because it's like, oh, she, like, I just see a girl when I look at her, and I think about myself, and I still feel like a girl. Like, I don't feel like an adult, and I feel like she also doesn't feel like an adult still. Like, our parents are also just trying to figure things out, but I do feel like she's becoming more herself as she gets older, and so hopefully I can kind of like speed up that process with myself. Maybe not have kids and just slowly figure out myself.
So what qualities or traits separate a girl from an adult woman in your
I don't
view?
know. I feel like, I don't know. Once you have kids, it's like, oh, you're a woman now. And until then, you're not a woman. But that's another issue that I'm working on.
Well, I mean, just based on what you said a second ago, like, what is the difference between yourself and your mom?
I don't know. I do feel, in some ways, we're very similar, but I feel like my mom is so focused on, like, what everybody else thinks of her, and, like, what she thinks of herself is not good or not good enough. Like, it's that thing where, like, she's always trying to lose weight. She's always trying to, like, make herself look better. It's like she doesn't like the way that she looks. And that was passed on to me a lot, and I've had to spend a lot of time undoing that. And so I feel like that's a big difference. Like, she has no confidence or happiness in herself at all. And it makes me sad, because I'm like, oh my God, just stop. Like, I was talking to her the other day, and she was just talking about how she's so sad eating her salad for dinner because she wants to lose weight. And I'm like, just eat whatever you want. Who cares? You're already married. He's not going anywhere. Eat whatever you want. I'll never forget one of my English teachers in college. She would go off on tangents, and she was like, if you get pregnant, you just get fat. you get fat and happy and it'll be fine. You'll be, just go on and get fat and happy and you'll be happy. And I was like, I love that. And I'm like, that's what I want to say to my mom. I'm like, just go be happy. Like, all your kids are out of your house now for the first time in like 30 years. Just go be happy.
Well, speaking of definitions, what is your definition of success? And how has it changed over the years? What did it used to be? What is it now?
I think a few years ago, my definition of success would have been like married, both of you have good jobs, you have a house, you may or may not have a child, but you at least have a house and like a couple of nice cars and like you get to go on vacations. That probably would have been my definition of success, which is a very Southern thing to say. Mm-hmm. I think now it's like, are you and your spouse like generally happy? Like, not necessarily like you never have hard times or like you never argue, but it's like in general, are y'all happy? Do you have a happy life? Like, is there a roof over your heads? And like, do you find fulfillment in things outside of work? I think that's probably my definition of success.
Wow, you threw a curveball right there at the end. Do you find fulfillment in things outside of work? That's part of your definition of
I think so.
Success.
Yeah.
By your own definition, do you feel that you are successful?
Yeah. Maybe not like, if you like, I bet to other people they would say, oh, y'all are not successful. Like, you're still renting an apartment and you don't have any kids yet and you're not getting to travel to Europe like everybody else is. Like, whatever it is, you're not investing money in the stock market. I don't know what old rich people do. I don't know. I feel like other people would probably say, oh, we're not successful or I'm not successful, but I feel like I am. I'm certainly a lot happier than I used to be. I'm a lot more content. Like, I try not to look at other people or look at other couples and be like, oh, like they have, I don't know, they're so much older than we are. They're so much more successful. Like, I swear to God, I did that on the way home last night. I was like, damn, like they have a house. Like, we don't even have a house. Like, they are so much further ahead in life than we are. And I'm like, no, we're doing two different things. Like, what works for y'all isn't what works for us, and what works for us won't work for somebody else. So I'd say, yeah, by my definition, we are successful.
Okay, so if you had to summarize all the themes and topics of this conversation into one word, what would it be and why?
Can I do 2 words?
No. You can pick one.
Or you can combine the 2 words
with
into one word.
With a nice little hyphen.
Yeah.
I would say fulfillment.
Why?
I think that's just what I'm pursuing now. Is like being fulfilled. Making sure that there are things in my life, like Austin likes to call them soul points. It's like little things that you can do that just feel good for your soul. Like our dinner last night was very good for my soul. Like getting up early to see the sunrise or watching the sunset, like soul points. Like just going out and getting a sweat on and like exercising just a little bit just to do something for yourself. Like soul points, fulfillment.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.
Catch us next week.
Bye.
We have another amazing guest that's already lined up. I know who it is.
Abs. Bye. Goodbye.